Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a new live episode of Word on the Streets. Ah, damn, I don't have that little cue set up, or else I would have done the whole thunk. But nobody's on anyway right now to hear it. So if you're catching the replay, I appreciate you being here. That's even if there is going to be a replay. I'm not 100% sure. But only reason I'm coming on live right now is honestly because I was scrolling through the tubes of you checking out some shorts, and it turns out that the homie Trump has come up with a brand new. Hey, what's going on, Big Nick? How you doing today? What's up? What's up? Thanks for tapping in, brother. Um, I'm coming on here today right now because it turns out that Trump has a new plan to help out the middle class with taxes. And shit, I know a lot of us have been talking about doing something like this forever and a day. You know what I'm saying? Just gaming with Dubs and Gun. All right, that's what's up, big dog. Tell him I said what's crack-a-lack, and I joined them, but unfortunately, I don't have a Black Ops 6. So not until my first payday for my new job, that's when I'll be able to buy that new game. But yeah, man, I think it's pretty wild that since I remember working at when I started working, I was like 16 or 17. I was one of those that always played not played. This got me talking about goddamn video games. we on 3, bro. Orale, all right on. Whichever one it is, but on Modern Warfare 3. Oh, okay, then I might have to jump on that later on. I mean, I'm not sure yet. But anyways, I wanted to come on live here because I wanted to talk about Trump and Kamala's approach to working with the middle class. And Trump just made an announcement that I just found out about, I'll say, regarding the middle class. And I'll say this, even the working class will definitely get a dig out of this. And that's going to be no taxes on your overtime pay. So for those that know, there's like a sweet spot when you work overtime that you need to hit so that you make enough money where it's worth your overtime and not getting taxed too much on it. And with this new idea, policy, or whatever that Trump is implementing, I think it's definitely going to be a game changer for those who are on the fence as far as voting for Trump. I mean, what's going to happen is more than likely the Kamala is going to come out with the same thing, saying no taxes on overtime, and just like she did with the no taxes on tips. But with that said, I think this is a game changer, especially for those working class people, middle class people, that we know that we need every dollar. We need to squeeze every dollar we can where we work at and not get taxed on it. And it's definitely an incentive for those that are employed to work those longer hours needed by the business, and as well as for the people to want to stay there and work more. You know what I mean? Someone had made a comparison saying that it's hot air because he'd have to pass it through Congress first, and Congress won't even attempt to give a minimum wage hike or increase. Well, my counter to that is that I don't think it's the minimum wage that's the problem. I think it's the amount of the minimum wage that they want to raise it to. Hey, what's up, Roland? We're working ourselves to death these days. Exactly, 100%, man. And I believe that, I mean, anybody who's been working ever in their life and worked overtime knows how much that overtime kicks in, because that's time and a half, man. After 40 hours, anything you work is going to be time and a half. I think that's an excellent idea. It's definitely going to boost the economy because you'll be making more money, spending more money into the system, and it's more production that the company is getting out of you. So it's not going to be hurting their bottom line as much as it would be as if they raise the minimum wage and all these other regulations that come with it. Again, I think the problem with raising the minimum wage is the amount that you want to raise it to. I mean, obviously, minimum wage at $7 an hour is retarded. However, raising it to $20 an hour, of course, is also retarded. because you know what? There's people out there that have been working their asses off to make those $20 an hour, and then you have somebody that jumps in and starts at the same amount that you started at. I mean, that you're at now. When you started 5 years ago, and it was only fucking 15 an hour. You know what I mean? It's just one of those that it makes no sense, y'all. It makes no sense. At least in my head, I'm not an economist. I'm not somebody that went to school for any of that shit. What I'm saying though is that I haven't heard how Kamala is planning on making any of these changes, how she's planning on paying for it. For example, the building of all this infrastructure, all these homes that she's talking about building. Where's the money going to come to pay for those homes to be built? We don't have the money for it. We're too busy, using our taxpayer money for a proxy war that we're involved in with Ukraine. And then people try to make the argument, well, not really. What we're doing is we're giving them our weapons, we're giving them our military material, so it brings more manufacturing jobs to the US. It sounds good in theory, but the truth be told is the ones that are making the money there are going to be the companies like Northrop, that are the companies that are building the weaponry. Now, ask yourself, who are these companies? Who's invested in these companies? All you got to do is take a look at BlackRock, and it'll break it down. That's who's making money out of this. That and the companies that have been hired to go and rebuild and reconstruct the infrastructure of Ukraine once it's fucking completely over with. They're the ones that are going to be making the money, not us. It's going to sound good that they're bringing more jobs in manufacturing. Nah, homie, the ones that are getting paid are going to be those that are heavily invested with the government. So, anywho, I just wanted to jump on here real quick and talk about that. It's been 7 minutes. You want to come up? All right, too easy, big dog. Here, I'll shoot the link on for you. Give me a second. Invite, copy, and here we go. All right. Hey, go ahead and you should be able to click on that Campos, and it should bring you right on here, brother. Man, you got me right on time. I was just about to honestly just disconnect this shit, but let's keep this conversation going then, man. You on here with me? I love it. So, Campos, come on up here and let's get in it. Let's get it. And for those that don't know, Campos is my subject matter expert when it comes to politics. He seems to be very knowledgeable on it, a lot more than I am. I'll tell you that. I just go based on what I'm thinking and what I believe versus what he knows. You know what I mean? So shout out to the homie Campos once he decides to get on eventually. So what's this Thursday night going on? You guys got anything planned for the weekend? Anything going on? As for me, I will be prepping for my new job. Whoop, whoop. And guess what? They pay overtime. So, well, for a while, then I go salary. What do you guys think? How do you guys feel about this new policy that's coming in, or this new no taxes on overtime? What do y'all think of that? Do y'all think it's something that would be beneficial, or do you think it's going to be bad for the economy? Do you think it's a good idea, or do you think it's a bad idea? Do you think it's something that's going to be possible to pass through the Congress? I think it will be. I mean, it's too easy to pass through. What I do see is there probably going to be a cap on how much overtime you can do by certain companies, because at the end of the day, that is a lot of money. So I could definitely see there being a cap on you can only do X amount of hours of overtime in order so that, a business is there to make money at the same time. So it's either that, or they'll put a cap on, like, instead of being time and a half, we'll give you time, we'll give you double pay unlimited overtime or time and a half, but only for like 10, 20 hours of overtime. Hey, what's going on, Big Cruz? How you doing today, big dog? I appreciate you being on here, homie. Make sure y'all tap that like button as you're coming in. And I'm wondering what happened with old Campos. Campos, where are you, big dog? I'm waiting for you to come on here. Oh my goodness. But yeah, we're just talking over here. Just having a conversation. Just talking to myself for now. I was gonna do this as a video. I'll probably redo it later on because not a lot of people see the live. So I'll probably do a video later on or tomorrow. I don't know. How's the new job treating you? I'll let you know on Monday, big dog, because on Monday is when I start. I'll be starting on Monday with the new job. And that first week is just gonna be basically me in training to get my licensing. And once I get my license to be a claims adjuster, then that's when I'll be hitting it balls to the walls as far as training goes. And I'm looking for it, man. I can't wait, bro. I don't see you, big dog. I mean, you would be usually if you were on here, it would show you on my on my. I'm on StreamYard, dog. Did you click on StreamYard? Let me see if I can send it to your freaking to your email. See if I still have it. Let's see. Do I have it on here? No. All right. This one should be it. All right, eight Campos. I'm sending it to your Yahoo. All right, the 1986 at Yahoo. So you should be getting it there. Yeah, man. I'm pretty excited though, Cruz. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm pretty excited about it. It's definitely a new chapter. I really wanted to be retired already. I was enjoying my retirement life, but unfortunately, the way that honestly the things are going, I need to start uh, putting more in my nest egg, as well as I like toys, and I want to buy myself my motorcycle. So that's I'm not gonna lie to you. That's the biggest reason is I want my motorcycle, and I refuse to be paying with credit anymore. I will not use credit. If it's one bit of advice I can give people out there, it's if you can't buy it in cash, unless it's a house, don't get it, man. Get yourself a putt, get yourself a bucket, save for that versus going out there and paying way too much, like 10%, 8% in interest on a loan for a vehicle that is honestly going to be worth significantly less as soon as you drive it off the parking lot. I would highly recommend that you save that money instead and just buy yourself a putt, man. Buy yourself a vehicle that'll get you from point A to point B without a problem. If it's because you want to go ahead and impress the females and stuff like that, tell her, hey, you know what? I may not be able to impress you right now with this bucket, but in the future, once I'm able to save, I'll impress you with my bank account. You know what I'm saying? And if they ain't impressed with that, well, they can go fuck themselves. Give them a dildo so she can go fuck herself. That's just my point of view. But then again, I'm an old head, so I think a lot differently than a lot of people do. All right, there's my boy Campos, and we are gonna talk some fucking politics right now, y'all. What is going on, big dog? How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Let me try to get the double speak out.
Double speak? What do you mean?
Let's see. Uh, how about now? Do you still hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, gotcha. All right,
All right, too
got it
easy.
out.
So welcome, man. Let's tap in. Let's talk a little bit of politics. You know that you are my politic or political fucking SME when it comes down to it. And I'd like to start with you from the beginning. Let's go ahead and start off because we haven't communicated in a while. So
Yep.
I'd like to go ahead and start off back when they had a supposed interview, sit down interview with Kamala, Tim Waltz, and Dana Bash. Did you watch that?
I did.
Okay. And for those that don't know, it was supposed to be an hour long, but it was honestly 18 minutes
Yep.
total that they spoke, and the rest of it was pretty much a ad for her campaign. What did you think of it?
Well, first off, she's been the presidential nominee for about almost 2 months now, and she's only that's the only interview she's done. Whereas since within that time you've had RFK, who was presidential nominee, not anymore, but in that time he was, and Trump, who's been the presidential nominee, and they're doing on average an interview at least a day, if
Hmm.
not multiple interviews a day. And within the last 2 months, that's the only interview she's done. And a lot of that has to do, in my opinion, a lot of it has to do with the fact that Biden was the nominee beforehand.
Hmm.
He was actually elected, and that's questionable.
Hmm.
That's questionable, and the fact that once they booted him out, and we can debate about that. I know Hunt's not here, but I know that Hunt's not here, but well, regardless, he got
Right.
booted out, and Kamala Harris got placed in, not elected, but placed in as the nominee. And
Exactly.
with that said, she has only given one interview since that time.
And calling it an interview, I think is a fucking stretch. It
Yep.
really is a stretch. I mean, there was nothing that was answered, and I learned nothing new about her or him. I did learn that Tim Waltz is somebody that doesn't hold accountability to himself. He will tap dance. He could have when they asked him like, "Oh, did you misspeak?" or "Did you purposely say that?" He could have said something like, "You know what? Yeah, I probably got caught up in the moment, and I got excited and I exaggerated a bit of what I said." You know what I mean? Take accountability for your actions. But instead, he said, "No, grammar's never been my strong suit," or something
Yeah,
of that sort.
and that's
Like, really, dude?
honestly, if I mean, I'm gonna be honest, like we're talking just being human.
Yeah.
The fact that he's the governor running for president, vice president now, that's the Democrat, that's the DNC telling him that. I think if
Mm.
it wasn't for the DNC telling him that, he would have probably said what you said. He would
Mhm.
probably would have been more honest and just said, you know what, I messed up saying what I said.
Yeah.
But that was the DNC saying, listen, you need to say this.
And the sad part is, though, you get more respect for admitting that you're human
Yeah.
than, trying to sound like a programmed robot. So,
Yep.
I mean, and those were some softball questions that they try to press her on a little bit, but honestly, they let it go right afterwards. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just thought that was honestly just a way to shut up the media, to say like she hasn't done a press conference or she hasn't done any kind of interviews. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
moving on from that, let's go ahead and move on to this sham of a debate that was
All right. Yeah. Let's go.
horrendous. It was horrendous. I tried to watch it. I was telling Hunt, like, I want to watch it with an open mind. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Unbiased. I want to see it. And I'm gonna try to put any biases that I have against Kamala out of
Yeah.
my head. And I'm not gonna lie to you, that's a very tough thing to do because I can't stand her cackle, I can't stand her voice,
Yep.
and she's just to me somebody who I can't respect her in the position that she's in, but
But
I will respect the position.
yeah.
And if people didn't see the bias that was there,
Yeah. Yeah.
dude, Ray Charles could see that bias. You know what I'm saying? Like, God damn.
Absolutely.
I, did you not trip out
The,
where? Go ahead, go ahead, go
the,
ahead.
Trump got what do he call what's the word
Fact check.
fact check 6 times. Kamala Harris, the very first question that they asked, I think it
Mm-hmm.
was, do you believe the economy was this? And she never answered the question.
Mm-mm.
And the fact that she never answered the question, they never fact checked her on it. They never forced her to say, well, will you answer the question? Whereas when you look at Trump, they forced them like at least 2 to 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another 3 times where they fact checked them. Another thing I got to say is this Project 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Trump does not support that. He flat out said he did never read it. He does not support it. That was something created by the Heritage Foundation. And the fact that Kamala Harris called him out on that and they would not fact check her on it, that
Mm-hmm.
right there that shows you the clearest bias.
Well, did you just I just heard this. It just came out that apparently not only was one of the moderators uh a friend of hers, but also a
Yep,
sorority
Lindsay.
sister.
I've heard that. I haven't looked into details, but it doesn't surprise me.
You know, I'm not gonna lie to you that I do believe that she was fed those questions
Yeah. Oh,
prior to.
both of them were.
You think so? I don't know,
Yeah,
because I think Trump, if he would have had the questions, he would have been a little bit more articulate with the answers. But honestly, she did shine. I'm not gonna lie. I will be honest. She did shine, but in the way that it just showed her with confidence, with like professionalism. Like she seemed like she was trying to be presidential in what she was
well,
saying, right? But
well,
here's
when
the
you
issue,
have
though, Campos. Hold on. Let me finish my point. Nah. But what I think the issue was, that while she did present herself in that way, everything that came out of her mouth was shit. I mean, you could polish up a turd, but at the end of the day, it's just a fucking turd. And that's all that was coming out of her mouth. That she
so
was spewing. Let's go back to the first question, right? Where they asked her, is the economy better off now than it was 4 years ago, or whatever the fuck it was? And
yeah,
she, oh, I grew up in the middle class and I did this
yeah,
and I did that. Okay, that wasn't the question. They should have
that's not
pressed
the
her
answer
on
to the
that.
question. I know that's your fact checking that they should have questioned it, but they didn't. But yet
Mhm.
they did to Trump 6 times.
And how about where they kept making him sound like he was a fool when he was talking about the abortion, about the
So
giving birth at
so
9 months and whatnot, and
so
they didn't fact check that because they should have, if they would have found that it was the former governor
yes,
of Virginia.
yep,
He actually was on a show and he
yep,
said that after it's born, we'll
yep,
figure out if we're gonna give it life saving or if we're gonna pretty much kill it.
yep. And
You
it's
know what
not.
I'm saying?
That's only the what we have on video.
Exactly.
There's many Democrats on the Democrat side. I'm not saying every Democrat, but
Hmm.
there's many activists within the Democrat Party who believe that, and they've pressed on that. They fought for that, especially after when Roe v. Wade got finalized by the Supreme Court.
Hmm.
There's many of them who push for that, and
Yeah.
so that's the fact that they're now denying that's all for show. It's all for political gain.
100%.
Ridiculous.
100%. And I think I would be more supportive of an abortion bill. Would it say something with the verbiage of up to X amount unless X, Y, and Z is involved? You know what I mean? If they could put that in there, but they don't want to put that in there because then they say, "Oh, that's going against a woman's body and woman's choice."
Yeah,
What about the poor body that's growing up in there? That's
yeah,
what
absolutely,
that's what I find distasteful and gross. And at the
absolutely,
end of the day,
absolutely.
they gotta do it. They gotta deal with it with their maker. I think that Trump was 100% on leave it on the states, but there
Yep.
are some states that I'm hearing are going a little too far as with their
Well,
as far as like telling people that they can be held accountable if they go out of state to go have a procedure done out of
yeah.
state. That's a
So,
little bit Gestapo. Now, I don't know how
so,
true that is or not, but that's a little bit too much too soon. What do you think?
so we're on the gun line.
Yeah,
Shoot the shit, right, brother?
handle it.
And so, I'll always give my honest opinion and speak truth here.
Hmm.
So, from the very beginning. Since I started back in 2007, I'm a constitutionalist. I believe in liberty. I believe in freedom. I believe in the Constitution.
Yes.
And it's the 10th Amendment is very clear. States have that right. States have the right to make that decision. Whether the decision is wrong, that's a whole different story.
Right.
Now, when it comes to certain issues, we can debate on that issue. There's the 14th Amendment in there, but when it comes to the issue of the abortion,
Hmm.
there's nothing in the Constitution that specifically talks about the federal government being involved in abortion. This is
Okay.
why abortion should be left to the states, and this is why that when it comes to if we have very conservative states like Texas,
Hmm.
very liberal states like New York and California, which I disagree with, if they're going to have abortion going to that far, I totally agree with. I don't like it. I disagree with it, but I don't have that right. I don't have that jurisdiction to tell them what to do. But you know what? That's why we keep fighting it. That's why we fight it to 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 ban it in our state. And then
Hmm.
once we ban it in our state, we spread the word. As Christ said, we keep the faith. We spread the word, and we take that down. And then and individually in that state of California, we fight it there. Because at the end of the day, if we leave it to the federal government, the evil is going to get what they want. They're going to get
Hmm.
what they want, and it's going to be nationwide. As much as I disagree with what's going on in states like California and New York with the issue of abortion, they're going to get what they want nationwide, and I would rather have it there than nationwide.
So again, and one of the things that I believe is you have the ability to move out of a state if you don't like their laws and you can't change their
Absolutely.
laws. You can move out.
Absolutely.
You could definitely move to another state, and that's where I still have that disagreement though with Texas, where again I don't know how true it is or how much has been imposed or how they would
Yeah.
impose it. That if somebody decides to go have a procedure done out of state, let's say they want to go to Louisiana or
Yeah.
fucking Colorado or whatnot, you know, to go have that done, that's on them. Go ahead. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But from what I'm hearing is that according to what the left is saying, that Governor Abbott's going to prosecute them, and I think that's wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That to
If
me
it,
that's wrong.
yeah, and that comes down to the term of jurisdiction.
Right.
It's all about jurisdiction. It's just like if you go to Mexico, which is an entirely different country across the
Hmm.
border, they can't prosecute. Abbott can't prosecute you on that, and he shouldn't be
Right.
able to prosecute you if you go to Louisiana
100%.
or Oklahoma or New Mexico, whatever state. He shouldn't be able to do that.
Exactly.
And so I totally disagree with Abbott on that. And yeah, but unfortunately, we're not having that discussion at the national level.
Right. And I think also another thing that needs to be done is, you know, discuss the root cause of abortions. Why people are having so many abortions? What is causing them? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? As far as
yeah,
like what has led to this massive influx of people just wanting to go and get rid of their children? Is it because one, you made a mistake and got knocked up? Well, guess what? It wasn't a mistake when he was beating it raw dog, was it? You know what? It ain't that baby's fault that his pullout game is weak. You know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, and then so I give a bit of leniency to look, miscarriages happen a lot as far as pregnancies go. And there's always that danger within the first trimester. So within that first trimester, I can understand like, okay, if somebody finds out late in their pregnancy that they're pregnant, say, they find out at 10 weeks, 12 weeks, and they decide like, hey, this is not something that possible for me right now. I want to go ahead and terminate it. I know it's tough, dude. Trust me. For me, it's tough to say. It's tough for me to say as well because I remember seeing my daughter at 11 weeks in the womb, kicking
Yeah,
her feet and moving around.
yeah.
But again, it happens as well in nature, where it's so I can give a little to get a little. You know what I
Well,
mean? So
okay, so I'll give
go ahead.
my opinion. My opinion.
Yeah.
See if I can start with this. So when it comes to the whole issue, because we're going to go to the extreme, that's
Mhm.
kind of what we're
Right.
going towards the extreme. So they always bring up incest and rape. Well, here's the thing: when you get raped, you gotta report that shit. You gotta call the police. When that happens, it's happened to family members of mine. You gotta report that shit, and when that happens, you get sent to the ER, and in
Mhm.
the ER, they shoot you up with a shot of estrogen, and it
Okay.
prevents you from getting pregnant. And so that's what needs to happen. The problem that I have is that you get one of these women out there who say, "Well, I was raped," but
Mhm.
then a week or 2 weeks later, then they say, "Oh, well, okay, I'm pregnant now, and I want to." No, that's why you got to report that at the very. You got to report it. That's the That's on you. Something bad happened to you, a crime. You was violated. A crime was happening to you. You got to report that shit because when you report that shit, when it happens, they're going to send you to the ER, and then you get that estrogen, and then you're not going to get pregnant. But we're talking a week, 2 weeks later. I can't agree with that because
Right.
we were talking in developments put in place. Now we're going in the discussion of the principle of whether life, where does life begin, and
Right.
I
It
can't agree
becomes
with
like a
that.
big ethical conversation.
Yeah,
And I agree
yeah,
with you. And again, I'm one of those that I like to get to a compromise. You know what I mean? And I would say, up to and about, 14 weeks, maybe even 16 weeks, I'll give you. And I know, trust me, it's hard for me to
Ugh,
say this,
I can't,
but
I
I
can't. I can't, brother.
But the thing, and I get it. I mean,
I
I
got
would
you.
never
I
ask you to
got you.
compromise your conviction. You know,
I
I'm
got you.
just I'm just thinking like, in order to get to a median, a happy median,
Well,
you know, it would be for
well,
me.
okay.
Go ahead.
Well, let me say this: we always hear the term progressive all the time, right?
Right.
Progressive, people being progressive. I'm far left progressive. I'm a left progressive. All right, well, that's what I say. But the other side, progressive. Whatever state you live in,
Hmm.
whatever state you live in, national, whatever. But whatever state you live in, we progress, but we move the other way. We progressively move to the way of life.
Right.
That's the difference, because the left will always use that term about, well, I'm progressive. We want to progressively move that way. We want
Hmm.
to progressively move left. Well, I say to them, well, let's progressively move to the other way, the way of life, when it comes to the issue of the abortion. So I understand that
Hmm.
maybe in your state abortion is at this level,
Right.
that's way more left than the state of Texas.
Right.
But let's move in one direction. Let's move progressively, move in the next direction. Let's progressively move. Let's progressively move. Let's progress. And I'm about to, I'm willing to go progressively move there.
See, and I think a lot of people will probably have a big issue because we have two men talking about what they say women's issues. But I believe that that child is not just a woman's; it's also a man's. So I don't like it when the male is left out of any kind of decisions like that. For me, that's the biggest thing. I think there's got to be compromise. I get it. There's some people that are firm, 10 toes deep into the sand, handle it. Me, if it,
Which
I'll leave it. How about we just even if we just
which
make the that Plan B pill more affordable, more what's the word I'm looking, more accessible. If you think that you're gonna get knocked up, just have the plan. Be fucking proactive. You know what I'm saying?
I
If
I I'm with you. I'm with you there. We have birth control. We have Plan B. We have all that stuff, and
I just think that
so
they
I'm
need to
with
get
you.
rid of
I'm
the
with you
rhetoric.
there.
They need to
Yeah.
get rid of this rhetoric where children after like 20 weeks can be
And
no. I don't
and,
that it's
and
just like too
I
much to me.
I understand. I was confirmed in the church within the last 2 years, so I
Mm,
can understand that people from within the church, they have a very strict principle stance on it when it comes
right,
to even within what do you call birth control. I
right,
understand that,
right.
but the reality, but we're talking about a man's government, the government, and if you want to get to that state where if we want to go closer to what you want, and that's what I just talked about a second ago about being progressive.
Hmm.
You're not going to get there if you take that, if you're pushing and arguing and yelling at people that you got to take this stance, which is considered more extreme. So that's
Right.
why I'm saying that let's keep moving in that direction. I mean, let's fix society. Let's fix society as we're talking about, and let's also move in that direction with what's right, and then we can keep moving there. But let's do it together.
It's funny you say fix society. I spoke to a mutual friend of ours yesterday. And he seemed really down and really passionate about how the country right now he feels is in a state of just ruin and chaos. And I try to let him know, like, I get why you feel that way, but at the same time, we can't sit here thinking that we can't dig our way out of the mess that we're in. It because honestly, I think we're making a mountain out of a molehill, to be honest. And
Yeah,
and whatever issues we do have as a country, it's not going to get fixed in 4 years. And no matter what people say, we're not voting just for the next president. We're not voting Democrat. We're not voting Republican. We're voting for the next type of government you're going to want
yeah,
within your country. And we'll go back to the debate real quick, like talking about Kamala just tap dancing around any
yeah.
question that
Okay.
was given to her. Let's talk about we did talk about the abortion. Let's talk about the immigration problem.
Yeah.
How do you think she handled the immigration question?
Well, that's the one issue that Trump pressed her on throughout the entire debate, and
Hmm.
the fact that she's the border czar, and she's Biden's currently the vice president, and they're not doing anything about it. So, I think Trump's absolutely right. I don't want to hear anything about what you're going to do about it. You're the vice president. You're the
Mm,
border czar. You're the vice president. And even if you are the vice president number two, why ain't you putting pressure on the current president to do something about it?
facts.
I
A
don't,
hundred. Go ahead.
and then also, I got to get into ABC because the reality. When Trump talked about the whole dog eating dogs, and I've seen multiple videos on that. I've seen multiple videos of some of these Haitians and some of these people out in Ohio or Springfield, whatever hell they're at.
Yeah.
That's happening because they're coming from a society where, I mean, when uh, I study history, you see these books right here. I
Right.
got 3 shelves of books. Okay, we're talking Stalingrad. We're talking World War II. People, there's so many situations where people have to eat dogs, eat their horses,
Yep.
eat their pet animals to survive. It's either it comes on a life and death. People in Haiti, you've heard. If we study the news for the last 4 years, we know where those people are coming from, and those people are coming from somewhere where they've had to do that. They've had to survive. So when you get people like that who immigrate here legally, illegally, wherever, I'm not going to argue that.
Right.
That's what's going to happen. That's just the reality. And for ABC to make Trump look like a weirdo or
Right.
conspiracy theorist, it's absolutely ridiculous.
It really is. I actually did a video on it earlier, as far as like are Haitians really eating your cats? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And is it gone to that? Has it gone to that extreme? I don't know. I haven't seen videos of it. I saw one video where they caught a lady who was supposedly eating a cat in the driveway. Um, but I did see one where the black dude that's running for mayor out there. I want to say his name is like Anthony Harris. He was talking about like that there's these people going to this park where there's geese there, and they're grabbing the geese and fucking just taking them home to
yeah,
eat them. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? And okay, there's pictures of it. You see the homeboy
yeah,
walking with. So it's not like it's something made up. And I will say this about Trump. People laughed at Trump or made fun of Trump or said that Trump was out of his mind when he was talking about the people that were coming across the border that were murderers, that were rapists, that were killers, that criminals. They made fun of him, and not only that, they try to make it sound like he meant everybody. But look at what's happening. Look at what has happened. People that
yeah,
have come through here have been that sort of people. The thing
yeah,
is that everybody wants to go ahead and make that one commentary, making it sound like, oh, everybody's a criminal that's coming through is what he said.
yeah,
That's nothing like what he said. And
yeah.
lastly, I'll say this on the immigration thing. Why why has the Biden administration not done anything for 3 years, and then the last 6 months they want to put something together and to put a band-aid on a bullet hole? You know what I
It,
mean?
at the end of the day, it comes down. I can go different ways with this, but I'm gonna go right. I'm gonna
Go
go
ahead.
try go straight forward. I'm gonna go straight forward with this. Okay,
Bulldozer, baby.
you've seen all the people who's been endorsing Harris, all these neocons.
Oh
We're
yeah.
talking Dick Cheney, John McCain, all his people, his son, all neocons endorsing him. Because at the end of the day, all those people care about is they want cheap labor, they want cheap votes, they want the money because they want all the money to go to whoever the people who are owning the corporations. That's what they want at
Mhm.
the end of the day. And of course, Kamala Harris, Democrat, accepting all those endorsements when back in 2006, 2008, those were the people. It was the Democrat Party who was standing up against the neocons. It was them. So supposedly
Mhm.
you're standing against the neocons, and now all the neocons are in their party, and
Mhm.
that's what it comes down to. That's what it
Well,
comes
I'll,
down to because they want cheap labor.
I'll say this too. I mean, I was seeing that RFK video on Twitter or X where he's talking about BlackRock and how they're the ones that
Yeah,
are ultimately making the money out of this because
yeah,
they're the ones that are heavily invested in the companies that are not just building the weapons that are being shipped out over to Ukraine. They're
yeah,
also the ones heavily invested in the construction and rebuilding of
yeah,
anything that we have to reconstruct out in Ukraine. Go ahead.
yeah. I just want to say that you mentioned Ukraine. If there's one criticism that I will give to Trump, that's the one criticism that I give to Trump in regards to this debate. He
What?
should have pressed Harris on that issue of Ukraine, that if there's one issue that he failed on, it was that issue. He did a decent job, but it wasn't good enough. He should when Harris called him out about being weak. Okay, okay, I'm being weak. Let's say if I'm Trump, I'm being weak. How am I being weak? I'm being weak because I don't want to give American taxpayer money to Ukraine. I'm being weak because I don't want European lives to die. I want to stop that. And the American taxpayer is given all this money. We're printing all this money, which is causing inflation here in this country.
The devaluation of our dollar.
And you're calling me, and he should have called her out on all of that. He should have called her out on that.
The problem with that, though, I think, is the fact that they did have the microphones quieted down. They did have them muted.
Yeah.
And while it was good with old Sleepy Joe, I think with this one, it would have been a really good back and forth. I do hope that, people realize that he's gone into hostile territory twice already for these debates. He went to CNN, which I will say,
better job.
They did a more fair job than ABC did. 100%. I think that job was done perfectly. Now, ABC, you could tell that they had a whole fucking agenda against Trump, bro.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
And
I will say that.
Go ahead.
I will say this: that you go back to 2008 and 2012. I mean, I'm just being honest. It was always CNN with all the news channels. It was always CNN that treated Ron Paul the most fairly. I'm not saying it was perfect. I'm not saying CNN was perfect, but they always treated Ron Paul more fair than Fox News, than CBS, and all the other, and NBC.
You know who I hated?
Yeah,
Stephanopoulos, when he had Ron Paul in the and he tried to just basically mock him, like while he was on the show. Oh man, that really pissed me off.
ABC.
But look at go ahead.
ABC. I'm saying ABC.
Yeah, for real. And so with that, I do hope that Kamala, says, hey, you know what? I'm not scared. I'll go ahead and go to Fox. Let's do it. And I would love to see that happen. And I would love there to be an exchange between both of them, because that is what was missing. And you could definitely see that she was fucking pushing those buttons. She knew what buttons to push. And Trump was fucking falling for it, hook, line, and sinker.
Unfortunately, that's.
Did you hear the new conspiracy theory
about the
earrings?
Yeah.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know, man.
I have shocks. Okay, so I don't know if you know what shocks are.
Yeah.
These are shocks, right? Now, for people that don't know, these don't even go into your ears. They stick outside of your ears. And the sound goes through your fucking skin, pretty much. The vibrations. I don't know how the fuck it does it. It's all this scientific crap. And the fact, so the fact is that, that people were pointing them out. Oh, what's that? Those are earbuds?
Sony's.
Oh, damn. Okay. See, I don't know, but see, these don't even go in your ear, dog. These don't even go in your ear. They're on the outside, and it does like bone and skin fucking vibration. I don't know what the fuck it does, but that's why when they were talking about that Kamala had that, it would make a lot of sense, because she was definitely too well prepared. No matter how much you prepare, I've prepared soldiers many a times for the NCO of the Month, Soldier of the Month boards. All right, go ahead.
I can tell she was well prepared. The fact that she fucking walked up to Trump so quick and so fast, the way she did to shake his hand, to me that right there told me she was well prepared, because they told her that you need to look like the good guy. You need to go. You need to walk. You see how slow Trump was walking.
Yeah.
To his podium, and she just fucking rushed up there because they told her you need to look in front of the American people that you're the good guy, that you want to shake his hand and be like, let's have a debate.
And not only that, it's like a power move. You know what I'm saying? The perception of it is like it's a power move, because that was like one of the biggest thing everybody was talking about on the spin. Behind after the debate, everybody was like, "Oh, that was such a strong move on her to go and shake his." He doesn't shake anybody's hand.
That's that whole people saying that's power move. That's the media saying that's a power move. That's 100% the media saying that.
But from
the Democrat side, that's just her saying that's them telling her you just need to look good and look professional and look presidential. That's what that was to them.
I'll tell you what else about the debate that really irked the shit out of me was if Trump would have talked to her the way he did all his other all the other candidates back in 2020 or even 2016. She would have they would have classified him as racist or even more racist and
Mis-
misogynistic.
yeah, misogynist. Yeah.
You know, because but how is that if he's talking
It,
to her as an
it,
equal? Why
it,
would that be misogynistic?
I mean, I agree with you, but it
It's a
also depends
double-edged
on,
sword.
yeah, it is, but it also depends on it also depends on the issue. Like, I think, I think, I think it was a decent debate. I think Trump did an okay job, but I think there's so many ways you could have destroyed. There's so many ways you could have destroyed her last night.
Yeah.
I mean, if Tulsi Gabbard was in there last night, she could
Oh
have destroyed
God.
her in ways. If RFK was in there last night, he would have
Yeah.
destroyed her in so many ways. Because here's the thing, I'm gonna be honest. He took the bait. Trump took the
Yeah, he
bait,
did.
the ego debate, and if he would have stuck to RFK and Tulsi Gabbard's way with the facts, he would have
Hmm.
destroyed her. Because you can't. She cannot defend her facts. She cannot defend what she did as a prosecutor. She cannot defend what she's done as vice president under Biden. She can't defend Ukraine. She can't defend the border. She would have been destroyed.
Bro, if he would have just okay, one thing I give credit to Trump is that he kept trying to stay on to the policies, to the politics, to
Yeah,
what's going to make America move forward. While all she kept doing was bringing up, you have a man right here who does this and says that. Fuck that, because that man right there had the economy fucking booming. Had it not been for the
yeah,
Rona, he would have been reelected and we would have been having a whole other conversation.
yeah,
However, I do think that that's one of the pros and cons that Trump has on him about not being a career politician is that he's easily fucking finessed or easily pulled into a fucking argument because she was poking at him. And another thing I tripped out on was like, nobody that should be called weak. You know what I mean? But again, the one saving grace that he had during this whole thing was his closing. That was
yeah.
his one
Oh,
saving grace.
I mean, his beginning of you've been vice president for 3 years. What the hell have you done?
Exactly.
I mean, you can't. Where's she gonna? She can't go anywhere with that.
At all.
She can't.
But I mean, that's what he should have kept pounding on over that hour and a half that they were pretty much
Yeah,
all three of them jumping on him. And the the
yeah,
the thing
absolutely.
is, I'll say this, that the thing is that those that already made their mind up on who they're going to vote for, there, no matter who they believe won or lost, it's their candidate that won. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I keep it 100% real. I think that perception wise, Kamala won. She like the projection that she
if
portrayed was epic. It was good.
yeah,
However, if if you just put it on mute, yeah, she looked good. But if you listen to what she was saying, there was no substance to it. Nothing. She just sounded really good saying big words. That's it. But nothing that held any weight. Like, okay, where are you gonna get this money with your what does she call it? The economy, opportunity economy, whatever she calls it. It's
at the
like
same time while you're funding Ukraine.
right. I mean,
Yeah,
where do you plan on getting this money from? That would have been
yeah,
my question. Like where are you gonna get this money to build all these homes that you're talking about? And now you're
yeah.
talking about you want to give a $25,000 down payment to people
Ah,
to buy a home. And it's like all you're doing now is going to raise the price of that home another 25,000 fucking dollars.
yep, yep.
But people don't see that. You know what I'm saying? They don't see
Yeah,
that.
I know. It's yeah. It's no different than Andrew Chain talking about having a what do you call standard wage income.
Your
It's the same thing.
your universal basic income.
Yeah, and that's all it's gonna do is you're just gonna have fucking employers or landlords that say, okay, well everybody's making this much. We're just gonna raise the price of rent to this much.
Exactly. And you know what?
Yeah,
If you guys go and look at my video that I did about Springfield, Ohio,
yeah,
you'll definitely see some stuff in there that is driving the people of that town, of that city, to the point of frustration, to the point of where they if they keep reporting the way they have been, it could lead to what happened with the Asians, with the Asian hate, you know,
yeah,
because it's getting really bad. Like these guys, I get it. And just to tap on that about the migration over here. Apparently they're not here illegally. They've come to
yeah,
a port of entry and asked for asylum. and because we have to grant it to them because the person who's there has to give it to them based on pretty much a quick talk with these people. They're letting them in and giving them that TPS, which is temporary
Yeah.
protected status. Now that is going to go on for a hot minute until they get seen and be told, okay, be gone. But what I've always thought about asylum here, Campos, and correct me if I'm wrong. What I've thought about asylum was for those that are being persecuted by their government, that are being,
Yeah. Political. Political.
exactly, like
Yeah.
whether let's say your faith, your politics, you
Yeah.
say something against the government, that's when you're being persecuted, and like you have those political refugees or whatnot or whatever they are.
Yeah.
But these people, when you ask them, why did you come over here? If you look at the video that I did, go check it out, people. It's called Haitians eating your cat or something like that. Are your cat safe? Anyways, um, they're coming over here because they're trying to leave an oppressed region, a place that's pretty much a shithole, and
Yeah.
but that's not a reason to claim asylum.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm sorry. I know you want to come here, but there's
Yeah.
legal ways of doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when they come over here, they get this political asylum. They're also getting money, and they're taking
Yeah.
away resources that could be used for our own people. And so, what's happening in this small town, from what I was gathering off video that I saw, is that they're willing to pay more rent than the ones that are locally there already. So the landlords are raising the rents, kicking out the tenants
Yep.
that are there right
Yeah.
now, and letting
Yeah.
the Haitians move in so they can pay that rent. So they're basically,
Yeah.
let's say they were paying 800 a month for rent. Now they're double, they're price hiking it to 1,200 a month. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if they're on a fixed income, they can't afford that. But with the Haitians, they'll come in, they'll bring 3 or 4 families, be like, hey, we got this shit, dog. You know what I'm saying? Because each one of them is gonna be getting paid food stamps and extra money. So
Yeah.
that's where the frustration comes in. And what I try to make out on it, or what I did want to share in that video was, unfortunately, it's Haitians that are coming. So it's gonna be seeming like it's against black people.
Yeah.
But we could go ahead and put this somewhere in the Eastern Bloc of Europe.
I
Bring
know.
people from
Yeah.
Estonia. If they were the ones coming over here,
That's
we would be
that's
shitting on them too.
that what you're talking about is exactly what Brexit was about in
Mhm,
Europe, because you had all these Eastern European countries that used to be part of the Soviet Union, and they
mhm,
all got accepted to the European Union, and then because with the European Union you have open borders, and so
mhm,
when England with the UK was part of that, you get open borders, and so what was happening is all those Eastern European people were just flocking to all the Western
mhm.
countries like Spain,
Right,
France, Italy, and the UK, and getting jobs, taking all these jobs. And Nigel Farage, Nigel Farage, he was talking about, well, in the UK, the minimum wage became the maximum wage because you had all these people flocking to the UK. Well, where they come from, the standard of living is so low,
right.
and whereas where the UK is so much higher, but to your UK standards it was so low. That's why he was saying that the maximum wage became the minimum wage,
Right.
and
Eh, so
that's why that's one of the biggest reasons why they left the European Union.
exactly. And so what I was trying to get at as well is, like, if it was those people coming over here,
Yeah,
it has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to
yeah,
do with nationality. It has nothing to do with ethnicity. It has to do with people coming over here, and we're spending our resources on them versus those that legitimately need them, that are U.S. citizens. There was this
yeah,
one man on there. If y'all go and check out the video, click on the link. It'll take you over to Tyler Oliveira's channel, and you guys can see that video. There was a older gentleman who was a veteran who they stopped his VA payment, but they stopped his disability. So he had to go back to the office for to whatever office he was at in order to find out um why they took it away from him and if he could get Medicaid. And so we have here, somebody wrote something here. Who was this? Sorry guys, don't mind me. I'm eating dinner and listening to you both. Man, oh man, it's nice to hear from different perspectives. on these issues. You guys, military, and that's correct. We are both prior service military. Black. He spent. We served together in 2000 and shit. What was it? 2005.
Six.
2000. Damn, bro, stop putting your hair all the way back there. I know your hairline grew that far back, but it goes to the tip of the brow, fool. But yeah, I appreciate you, Black. Hey, do me a favor. If you get a chance, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet. And where are you from, man? Tap in. Where are you from? Um, and so what were we talking about? Oh, migration, right? So it sucks because this man was trying to get his benefits, but it seems like he's having a battle against all right, hell yeah, Cali in the house, whoop whoop. That's where I was born and raised at. So, but what trips me out is that the security guard that was working in that office, he said that like and 9 out of 10 of the people that are coming into the welfare office to get like these social resources, they're Haitian. So and that backlogs all the people that are U.S. citizens trying to get in there to get their stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just a trip, man. It's just a trip, and it sucks because it's like I said as well in that video. I'm gonna keep bringing it up. I said that the Venezuelans are happy right now. The Venezuelans are happy that the spotlight has moved from Aurora, Colorado to Springfield, Missouri to the Haitians. Venezuelans are yesterday's news because everybody was talking about how Hell's Angels was going to go over there and put the smack down, and it turned out to be all just one big ass what was it? Just a hoopla, big old hype. But anywho, what else did they talk about? They talked about Afghanistan. The pull out of Afghanistan. How do you think they handle that one?
Well, I mean, at the end of where I say on a non-intervention of foreign policy. So I think at the end of the day, we should not have been in there in the first place. But with us being in there, I think we should have came out of there in a sensible way where nobody would have lost their lives. I think that what it came down to is that they waited. Biden became the new president, the new administration. And with that said, the Taliban took advantage of that, and we lost, was it 14 lives?
13.
Yeah, 13 lives, and that's the unfortunate thing. Whereas I think that if we would have came out of there with dignity and a slower process, we could have came out of there with losing 0 lives.
I'm a firm believer in that. No matter who would have been in office to pull us out of Afghanistan, they were going to get shit on. I'm 100% a believer that we were going to get shit on regardless, or that that president was going to get shit on. Yeah, but I did like the way. Go ahead.
My number one thing is if we can get out of there with 0 lives, I don't give a fuck if we get shit on diplomatically. Lives are the number one concern for me.
I feel you on that, and I will say that I've become more of a non-interventionalist myself. You know what I'm saying? We should use our military for when it's necessary. I don't know about you, but I joined the military because I wanted to go blow motherfuckers up.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. That's what I wanted to do. So, and I got to go ahead and do that shit. But, after realizing that these wars we were suckered into, that's where I stand like, man, what a fucking waste of time. But we spent 20 years in Afghanistan. Yes, it was time to leave. But like you said, it should have been done in a sensible way. And Trump had negotiated, check the block type of pullout, which is what we should have stuck with. And then just leaving like that and leaving Bagram, because apparently one of the biggest things was we're not leaving Bagram to the Taliban. We were going to keep Bagram, probably have a small presence there of those that wear, those surfer shorts and flip-flops, that go by Mr. A or Mr. B. Yeah. People that you never realize are there.
My thing is my trust over the last couple of years, my trust for the CIA, I have no trust for them. I don't.
Bro, I don't trust any government entity because I work for the government. And and shit, you saw how they dog us. But no, here's the thing though. What I'm saying is that he had more of a milestone to be met measure to exit. And unfortunately,
I think it would.
I think that eventually we would have got out of there, and it would have sucked, but we would have gotten out with less lives lost, a more coordinated fucking effort would have been done, and we wouldn't have left all those billions of dollars of equipment out there that they paraded around on the third year anniversary.
Yeah,
Because
I mean,
I mean, it was a slap in the face, dog. It really was.
yeah,
Not just a waste of time, a waste of money, waste of resources, but the waste of lives.
yeah,
The lives that were spent out there for what? Could we at least have gotten the goddamn poppy fields? Shit. Can we get that heroin? Make some money off of that shit? At least get that out of it. We got nothing. Absolutely nothing. And then the Taliban come up in there. You know how much of a bitch I felt like after spending my time out there? Because my experience in Afghanistan varied. I mean, varied from others that were out there in the shit fighting. My time in Afghanistan was training the Afghan field artillery. That was what I
yeah.
did. My mission there was to train the Afghans on how to defend themselves using their field artillery with Russian howitzers. And
Oh my
I was good
goodness.
at it. Yeah, and I was good at it. I mean, they gave us 2 weeks to learn how that shit worked, and we made it happen, and we taught those motherfuckers. And so I thought, like, yeah, this is good. These guys are gonna fight for their fucking own protection. And then what happens? We see us pulling out, leaving, lose 13 lives in the process. People are sticking onto planes. My terp hit me up on the phone because he's here in the States now. For those that don't know what a terp is, my interpreter that I had out there was asking me, like, is there anything that he can do to help out because he has family out there? You know what I mean? How horrible that feels that we left all these people out there holding the fucking bag. After we promised them we're going to help you. And next thing, what
Yeah,
happened? The Taliban comes back in there
yeah,
because they knew that the new government was weak. And once that happened, guess what? Russia's like, hey, these motherfuckers ain't doing shit. I'm about to test a gangster. Ukraine, bam, blowback. What is that? Talk to us. What is blowback?
CIA term basically, but American foreign policy. It's a CIA term. Basically means because of American foreign policy, what happens because of our American foreign policy? There's blowback,
Mm.
and we receive that. And then when there's blowback, there's all this different uh, debates, discussion. But at the end of the day, it's because if it wasn't for our international foreign policy, there blowback would not exist. But just
Right.
know that blowback is a CIA term. But
Well,
this is the book.
also, okay. And also, I will say that blowback is a term that a lot of people use, and those that talk about it, they say, "Oh, you're just making excuses for the enemy to come and attack us." Because if you start mentioning how much we were bombing the shit out of them,
Yeah,
back in the days to piss
yeah.
them off, and then they come over here and do some terroristic things, then they're like, "Oh,
Well,
so
just
you're wanting the terrorists to win." No,
well, just
bitch. Go ahead.
well, just know, my argument will always be this: the reason why Iran is there's only two countries in the world that practice Sharia law, which is the
Mhm.
biggest argument for the neocons or the Christian right in regards of their
Yeah.
anti-Muslim stance, and that's Saudi Arabia and Iran.
Mm.
The only reason why Iran is a theocratic society is because of us. Okay, because originally, the people of Iran overthrew the Shah, and then the
Mhm.
people of Iran democratically elected Mohammad Mossadegh. He was a progressive left wing person who they elected as their leader, and then the CIA and MI6, the British, is what with us overthrew him and placed the Shah back into power. And then in the 1970s, because of that, there's blowback.
Mhm.
The blowback is that they fucking took over the American embassy,
Mhm.
took our embassy workers hostage, and then you had a theocratic Islamic extremist society taking control of Iran, which has control of the country to this day. Well, if it wasn't for us being involved at the beginning, that wouldn't even exist.
Facts.
And that's
Those
that's blowback.
and those are facts. So blowback is just another word of downstream effects.
Yeah,
What happens upstream of a river is going to eventually affect downstream. And it's a trip that you talk about. Iran and they are our adversaries, and I do believe I'm gonna go ahead and say this. You know, this is on the gun line, and we talk like we do on the gun line.
Let's
That's
go. Yeah, let's go. Let's
freely
do it.
and uncensored. I do believe that had Trump had been in power, October 7th would have never happened. I think that
Yeah,
releasing that money to
probably.
Iran emboldened them, and I do believe as well that Iran, seeing that we have a weak president, a weak vice president, a weak administration, because we're we're allowing them to run over everybody.
Yeah,
They went ahead and attacked,
yeah.
let's see, black, let's see, 40 Black says, hey man, I give you guys props for doing something that was wrong, but you had a job to do, and glad that you guys made it back. Rest in peace to your fallen, for our fallen brothers and sisters. Hey, shout out, man, salute, thank you very much for that, bro. A lot of people did end up giving their life out there for what was turned out to be lies, and what turned out to be a bunch of bullshit. And at the end of the day, I'm really against is regime changes, and that's what the U.S. wants to do, is just change
Yeah,
regimes. When
yeah,
you're no longer a benefit to us, we get rid of you. And you got
yeah.
oil that taps into it too.
Yep.
But I'll say
Right
this,
on.
I would do it all over again, even knowing that it's we went out there under false pretenses, because, well, I do know that we might have made some positive impacts to some people out there, to notice that not all Americans are infidels, not all
Yep.
Americans are there to be uh talking down on you and trying to kill you. We are here to try to make things better for you. Have we? At least the soldiers, we tried. What our government does behind the scenes, we got no fucking control on that, man. That's why I said I love my country, but I fucking hate my government. But yeah, dude, I tell you, it's sad, these damn, that shit just took me when I start thinking about like the people that we lost out there. One of my the first KIAs that I knew was one of my old buddies from boot camp, Snowburger. He was 17 years old when he joined. So
Oh my goodness.
being that he was not
Yeah.
18 yet, he couldn't deploy. Well, he was at a Fort Drum, and when he turned 18, he asked, "Hey, can you guys send me downrange now? I want to go downrange with my unit." So lo and behold, he went downrange, and on his way, I think out to Abu Ghraib, the Humvee he was driving
Oh God.
rolled over a tank mine, and
Oh fuck.
unfortunately, he got killed. I had just ran into him at the BIOP. We were out there at the PX at the BIOP over in, I think it's what, Camp Victory or Camp Liberty, whatever it's called. And I saw
Victory.
him, and he's like, Lopez. I'm like, Snowburger,
Both.
what's up, big dog? We shook hands and everything, and it was good to see him. And then we were doing, how we did our rotations between the main effort, between FOB fucking security and all that bullshit. I was
Yeah.
sitting on FOB security, and they had the Stars and Stripes. And I remember going through the Stars and Stripes, and I had a habit of going through the KIA list. And sure as shit, I see his name right there, Richard Snowberger the
Oh
third.
God.
Oh, like fuck, dude, it's crazy because he didn't necessarily have to go. You know what I mean? He could have
Yeah.
easily did a Tim Waltz and ducked out of that deployment. But
Yeah.
no, he wanted to be out there with his brothers and sisters, and unfortunately, he paid the price for it. And it sucks. Like, I heard the whole story of what happened from people who were there. Field artillery is a very small world, so I ran into people who were in his unit who were there the day that he lost his life, and it was horrible, man. Like, let's just say it was not the best way that you want to lose your life, And out of respect for his family, because God forbid if they ever see this, I won't say what happened, but it's rest in peace, Snowberger, man. And his anniversary
Yeah.
just passed of his death. It's crazy, man. And again, 17 years old, 18 years old, and he lost his life. Hey, Doc. Hey, how you doing, baby? Hey, girl, how you doing? But yeah, and that's the price that we pay, for being in the military. And I still wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it, bro. What?
Well,
How
I mean,
about you, Campos? How about you? Like, do you
I always tell, I always, you hear all my political views and everything. I always tell people this: I would not know what I know today if it wasn't for my service.
right? You know, you think about all the shit that we were doing out there. for the mediocre pay that we got. And I still remember seeing BlackRock, not BlackRock, Blackwater. Remember the Blackwater fuckers out there,
Yep.
or
Yep.
the fucking what was it, triple canopy? I think was
200
another one. These guys were
200,000.
out there
Raytheon.
fucking,
Raytheon.
yes. Anybody who was
Raytheon.
a contractor, they were making hundreds of thousands of dollars to
Tax free.
fucking clean up porter shitters. And they would pay the Hajis like, some mediocre weekly pay and pocket the rest of it. I mean, I'm not gonna blame them. I had this one dude when I was a prospect for a certain motorcycle club out here, who he was a contractor out there, and he went through some shit out there too. Contractors were going in putting in work too, but he's like, oh man, I was just a profiteer. I was there for the money. I knew that I was just there
Yeah.
for the fucking money. So I
Yeah.
get that, and I respect the fact that he said I was out there for that. I joined the military because I wanted to blow motherfuckers up. Plain and simple. Be careful what you wish for, is what they say, though, right? Dude, it's a trip. So let's circle back now to the current state of where we're at with Kamala and Trump. It
All
turns
right.
out now that Kamala, it was what some of the highlights that Trump did have during the debate, though, was where he was
Yeah.
like, "I'm talking now, I'm speaking." Remember that?
Yeah.
That was one of the. I thought it was funny when he did that. Then when he doubled down with the dogs and the cats, I started laughing my ass off. Like, he doubled down on that shit. And
Yeah.
then
Again, they want to fact check him. Anyway.
no, and they did. They tried to say, the city councilman has not said anything about that or blah blah. Of course, they're not going to fucking admit to that. But
Yeah, especially as a Democrat.
And then lastly, I thought that one of the jabs that he threw at her was like, I was gonna send her a MAGA hat because she's been copying my policy so much. I was fucking dying, you know what I mean? Because he had a couple of jabs in there, but he
Yeah.
didn't fucking come with that haymaker until the end, which is what he should have been doing throughout the whole fucking debate. He should have been saying, well, why didn't you do that the last 3 years? That's all he had to say, and he would have crushed her. But
Yeah.
I mean, that cunt, she was in there and she was all up in his head, man.
Well,
All up.
she was, I can tell she was prepped. Some people say that she was prepped by Hollywood. Whether she was, I don't care if she was or doesn't, but the reality was she was definitely prepped.
Oh yeah.
And that's what
Biden
it
put a
comes down
MAGA
to.
hat on.
And
I gotta see
I
this.
saw
Go
that
ahead. Go
today.
ahead. Go ahead. Did you see that?
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that today.
Is it true or is this a fake shit?
He's trying to be funny, but he did. Yeah, he did. But he's trying to be funny. But yeah, I mean, I can tell she was prepped, and like I said, I have to admit that that's Trump's failure where he should have called her. There's so many ways that Trump could have called her out, and he failed to do that, and so that's the only thing I'll give her. But the reality is this. The reality is this. If you know the facts, if you know the truth, if you know what they stand on, if you know what she stands on, he stands on, that's the reality.
And it's 100% on that. On my audio. Oh, I think his audio. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I got you. So, what's a trip out to me is, let's see, that's right. Why couldn't she step in when the shit wasn't right? And that's the thing I'm talking about right there, Black and Teal. Check this out. My biggest thing is a lot of people say that the vice president doesn't do shit. And it's true. They don't do a goddamn thing in the White House. But you know what she could have done was influence or had some type of say with Biden. I'll go back again to the pullout, which is the main reason I could never vote for Kamala. She could be the greatest thing since sliced fucking bread. She could say everything I want to hear. But because of that pullout out of Afghanistan, that's the one reason I could never vote for her. And my problem is that she could have influenced. She could have been tapping in his ear like, hey, Joe, you can't hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah. Can you? Oh, I don't know what you're saying, fool. I don't know if he's saying that he's on the phone or what. Or is he messaging me? Is that what you're doing? I don't know. We'll see. He's doing something with his audio. But what I'm saying is that she still had the power to influence him. Oh, okay. I see what you're talking about now. You're moving to the phone. Gotcha. Let me remove it.
All right,
All right,
all
there
right.
we go.
Yeah,
So I had
my headphones
gotcha,
ran out of
gotcha,
power.
gotcha. All right, cool. So yeah, but back to it, like, like homeboy just said, that's right. Why couldn't she step in when shit wasn't right? And I was just saying, all those years, we all know that a vice president doesn't do shit. Why is it that she couldn't go in there and be in his ear and influence? Cheney, he was moving shit behind closed doors. Oh yeah, Cheney was all over it. That motherfucker had money in Halliburton, bro. I mean, that he was all over that shit. That's why when Kamala tries to say, "Hey, we got Dick Cheney backing us," that's not as big as a flex as you think it should be.
Well, and
You
my
know?
and my question and my question is my question to the Democrats is okay. Where's all your anti-war stance that you had 7, 8 years ago? Where's
Mm-hmm.
that at? Because all you people hated Bush. All you people hated y'all people hated Dick Cheney more than you hated Bush. Where are all your people at now? Why aren't you calling her out? Where y'all at?
Well, it's also the fact that, and I was saying this to, I say this a lot to a couple of people as well, or in other chats that I'm in. You know, um, what is it about Donald Trump that has people on both sides of the political spectrum, or on all sides of the political spectrum, going against him?
Well, it
That alone should be a red flag. Like, okay, if everybody's against this dude, he must be fucking doing something that they're not liking.
yeah. I mean, I think there's multiple. There's multiple. I think there's generational divides there. I also think the fact that there's with that generational divide, I think there's people with generations. I think there's certain people who listen to the mainstream media, where there's people who are younger who tend not to listen to the mainstream media. That's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think with the generational divide, I also think that there's people who are a lot more younger. They're willing to look into facts and look up the things and have the ability to look into things like on the internet, whereas like the
Right.
older generation's not. A good example is like Kamala Harris. I hear it almost 24/7 when I get on YouTube or in the internet. Uh, you see all these people who are in their like late 40s talking about how I used to be a Trump supporter last two elections, but now I'm voting for Kamala Harris. You look
Right.
at these people, and they're all people we're talking late late Gen X people. They're coming from. I hate to go there with the divide, but the reality is that's what's happening.
Well, I mean, people, I don't know what is causing this shift, and there is a generational divide. I get that. I do believe as well, though, that we've the new generation that's going to be voting this year that is going to be a TikTok generation. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? They were 14 and now they're 18 and they grew up on TikTok believing everything that they wanted to, and they're only going to follow what they want to hear. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
that's the biggest issue that we have, I believe, with politics, that we're only going to hear, or they're only going to believe what they want to hear. If you talk reason to them, or if you want to speak, they're voting with emotion. They're
Yeah.
not voting with reason. Now, I get it. There's an old adage, an old saying that says, if you're young and a liberal, you have a heart. But if you're old and you're
Winston
not
Churchill.
conservative, huh?
Winston Churchill.
Is that who said it?
Yeah, Winston
All right. So,
Churchill.
yeah, if you're young and you're liberal, you have a heart. But if you're old and not conservative, you don't have a brain.
Yeah.
And that's
Well,
100% the truth.
Well, so I guess to get down to in regards to the end of the debate, what it matters is we got to realize is we have electoral college, and what matters is that they had this debate in Pennsylvania. We got Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio. Those are the battleground states. Where I live in Council Bluffs, which is on the Iowa side. But where I work in Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you want to get on YouTube and type in Blue Dot, there's a lot of media going to Omaha because Omaha is the second district of Nebraska, which Nebraska and Maine are the only two states that does not have winner take all.
Okay.
So unlike all the other states that if the majority goes Republican, it goes Republican.
Okay.
If the I'm losing
Oh,
you.
I kicked you from the studio. I didn't know if you were still needing it. Do you still need it?
I don't see. I can hear you. I mean, I see
Oh,
you on
you
my
just can't
phone.
see.
I
Oh,
see on
okay.
your phone. I see on my phone now on my computer.
Oh, my
So
bad.
it's all good. I can see on my phone. And so
the majority of states, unlike Nebraska, so Nebraska and Maine are the only two states that are not like this. But every other state, if the majority goes Republican, it goes Republican. If the majority goes Democrat, it goes Democrat.
Right.
Personally, I disagree with that. I think every state should be like Nebraska and Maine. But with
Right.
Nebraska and Maine, and with Nebraska, you have I think 4 districts. Maybe I think 3. I have to look it up, but there's at least 3 districts, and there's that one district which is Omaha, the second district that sometimes goes Democrat, sometimes goes Republican, and so there's this big media push. And if you go to Omaha right now in the Dundee district, there's all these signs in the neighborhood with these little with a sign that's white and has a blue dot in it, because what that means is they're trying to tell people we could decide the election. R1 district, which I don't think it will come down to that. It's very unlikely. It could, but it's very
Right.
unlikely. But
Well,
just know that the one district in Nebraska, which is the second district, could go Democrat, whereas all the other districts go Republican.
it just trips me out, man, that a lot of people still want to get rid of the electoral college and go off the popular vote simply
Yeah.
because they live in the state that would dictate who the president would be every fucking election cycle.
And whenever I get into this, for me, whenever I get into discussion with those people, this is the bone I give them. Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about getting rid of all the states having winner take all, because I think every state should be like Nebraska and every state should be like Maine, where the congressional districts decide their districts decide who the presidential nominee is. It shouldn't be
Right.
so. Like for example, you look at you live where you look at in Texas. Yeah, the majority of Central and North Texas and definitely Eastern is going to go red, but you got all those border Southern states that might go blue. Let's do that. Then let's look at Illinois. You got that one little area, Chicago, that will go blue, but you look at the rest of the state, it's going to go red. And and New York State is almost just like that. And I will give the liberal people, the left people, the same thing. Look at California. Most of that state will probably go left, and there might be certain pockets that will go, red. Right. That's how it should be. It should be close. In my opinion, it should be closest to the people.
So right. Whenever, that makes too much sense, though, Campos. I mean,
yeah.
Haven't you learned that the government, if it makes too much sense, they're not going to do it, bro? So I mean, so Black and Teal said Biden sold them the college, get out of debt. That was one of the biggest slaps in the face I think Americans took. We got mushroom stamped with that one, especially if you went to college, you paid your way through it, and you paid your way through it by serving in the military, you know what I mean? And so it's not like it was free for you, but yeah, I was going somewhere else with that. But yes, everybody that fucking paid any kind of price to go to school for higher learning, you got mushroom stamped by the Biden fucking administration, because they wanted, I still can't believe that, they wanted to pay the debts off.
Well,
it's like, come on, bro. Again, it's not free. Somebody's paying for it.
And true, but just know that it is a racket, and it is bringing young people who are 18 years old who don't know any better into a racket and they're being deceived.
I just did a video on that.
So with that said, let me I'm going to give you my 3 opinions. So my first opinion is this: if you don't agree with nullifying it and paying it off, then you know what? Then my question is, then do you believe in debt slavery? Because if you don't believe in debt slavery, then you should allow people to file bankruptcy on it. So just like anything, any other loan, you have all this debt, and you should be allowed to file bankruptcy on it. And same thing with the student loans. If not, then here's my thing. Then if you are going to allow the government to nullify all this debt, then at the same time you need to get rid of federally subsidized student loans, because that's what's putting in all these people to go to school, for basically, well, not for free, but they're going into debt.
Right.
And then they have all this debt, and then they're going to be saying, okay, well, bail me out of it. Well, don't give it to them in the first place. So, but here's my thing. I think hopefully it will end with, the first thing I'm going to go is with this: allow for bankruptcy, because once you allow for bankruptcy, it's going to force these lenders to tell the government, okay, we need to stop this, because then they're not going to get their money if if people are allowed to file bankruptcy on it, and so then the government's going to have to stop it. So right. I think that's the first thing that needs to be done is allowing people to file bankruptcy on their student loans, which they can't pay off.
Mm-hmm. You know, I agree with you. See, I just did a video, or I did a live on this, myself and Hunt, where we talked about college being a scam. I think college is one of the biggest scams there is in the world.
Absolutely.
Especially when you got people that who was telling me about this? One of the friend of the podcast, Urena, was talking about this place called SCAD, which is the Savannah Community Art College or some shit, something like that. Anyways, apparently they were pretty much giving you a degree in sculpting or painting. Like, what the fuck is that going to do to anybody? That's not going to do shit. You know, it's like a degree in gender studies. That does nothing for society. Now, again, I'll say that universities and colleges are good for those that are, hey, what's going on, Cryptid? Hey, thank you. Shout out to Doc and Doc K and Nick. You know, appreciate y'all being here. I appreciate the love. So the thing with the where I was going with this, that you have these people that do need to go to college, and that's going to be your attorneys, your doctors, engineers, scientists, people like that. I get they need the higher learning. But if I'm going to go to be a history teacher, this is my biggest argument. If I'm going to go be a history teacher, why the fuck am I taking algebra? Why can't I just know how to do basic fucking math?
I agree.
Add, subtract. You know, dude, my daughter is doing some kind of math right now that involves me buying her a fucking $100 calculator, bro.
Yeah.
What the fuck? I barely learned my ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. Now you want to combine the motherfuckers? Fuck that. All right, so let's see. What does Doc K say? Well, 100% disabled veterans are forgiven any student loans. Forgiveness should be earned, not given to any civilian. 100 fucking percent, Doc K. 100 fucking percent. What do you think on that?
Well, my thing, my thing is that it shouldn't exist in the first place. So, like I said before, if it comes down to where we have to forgive them all, I will only agree to it if we banned federally subsidized student loans where it doesn't continue ever again.
Well, and the federally subsidized loans, basically all that's doing is guaranteeing that the college is going to get paid, right?
So basically what that does is it subsidizes. So if you're 18 years old, you finish high school, you go into any school, no matter what, they know when you walk in there, you're federally subsidized. They're granted this much money from the federal government because it's subsidized. And so that's why they're able to say, okay, let's come in here. Whereas before, if the federal government didn't do it, they would have to go to a bank. They would have to explain it to you. They have to sign a contract. But guess what? Tuition would also be way lower. Right. Just like an automobile, it would probably be like the cost of an automobile, like $30,000 or something, because they know you need to pay it back, and they're going to explain to you got to pay it back. So they're going to say, well, tuition is going to be so much lower. You're going to take this loan out, but once you finish, then you're going to eventually have to pay it back, just like an auto loan. But it's reasonable.
I think that
but that's why it keeps going. But that's why it keeps going up and going up and going up, because the federal government subsidizes that shit.
Yeah.
So I agree. When all these people out there like Dr. K or whoever, I agree with you. I agree with all these people who say, well, I had to work my ass. I agree with you. You got to work your ass off, but you have to, at the same time, you have to understand, excuse me, the federal government has duped young people to go in there and go into all this debt. Mm-hmm. So in order to end what you don't like and what they don't like, we have to, if we are going to forgive it, we also have to get rid of the federally subsidized student loans at the same time. It has to be both.
What put us in that situation, basically.
Yeah.
Get rid of what got us into the situation that we're in.
But like, and I'll go back to this. I think if the only way we're going to get both sides to agree on this is if we can agree with allowing people to file bankruptcy on it. Because once that happens, then it's going to force the fucking lenders to say, well, government, you better get rid of the subsidized student loans, otherwise we're not getting paid either.
We're not getting paid. Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a trip, man, how education has been now become a racket that
it is a racket.
Dude, I was checking out some of the resources, about it, where schooling, education, just at a regular college, costs damn near $40,000 a year, and
That's
that's
ridiculous.
just the tuition.
You want so okay, so after I left the Army and I got involved and started understanding politically, and I moved back up here.
Real
and
quick, Black Metal said you are on fire. I mean, Black and Teal said you are on fire, but you are cooking it. Go ahead, baby. Got it. Go ahead.
So, when I moved back up here and I really started getting involved and I started learning more about the political process, economics, and a lot more stuff, I started going to these left-wing debates that happens and these movie watchings and / the debates that goes on in Omaha. And I met a friend of mine, I won't say his name, but he's a Vietnam vet. He's also a school teacher. And I will never forget this. Me and him disagree on so much stuff. We disagree on so much stuff. And he told me, you see how old he is. He's retired. He's a Vietnam vet, school teacher. He told me he was able to go to Creighton University, which is a high prestigious school in Omaha, Nebraska, a Jesuit school. And he was able to work an entire full-time job in the summertime. And then during the fall, use that same money to pay for his entire tuition for the year.
Unbelievable.
There's no way. I'm telling you right now, there's no way you could do that today at Creighton University. There's no way. But he could do it back then. That was before federal subsidized student loans existed.
Well, anytime that the government gets involved in any kind of privatized business, it's just going to make shit skyrocket, or any kind of public domain. It's just going to look what's happening with the fucking with when they get involved with the health insurances. Shit is out of fucking. It's just out of this world. All right. So Mighty Mouse says, you think they or she is letting all these immigrants in, giving them housing money and protecting them in exchange to vote for her? Because why do this for them, but not for our own people? I'll say this. I don't think that they'll be allowed to vote. Honestly, I mean, that have to be some corrupt-ass corruption going on for them to vote. But I do believe it is getting the they're trying to get the sympathy or the empathy of the migrants that are already here and that are first generation, second generations, and they're trying to get that vote from them so they could be like, look, your parents came in here, we let them stay, we're doing the same with them, let's give them the opportunity. What these people are not seeing is that back then, when people were coming in the 70s and the 80s, we weren't as overpopulated as we are now. So it's a little bit more difficult to bring people into these overpopulated cities where there's no jobs for them. The jobs that they are getting are going to be jobs that they're willing to take less pay for than a citizen would or a resident or legal resident would. So that's why they're taking these jobs. That's why people are getting upset. Go check out my video that I just did on it, man. It's fucking crazy to me. And plus, if they allow them to stay here, the people that are staying are not going to get to vote yet until they become permanent residents. Well, you know what? That's a good question now that I'm thinking about it. Do people with the temporary protected statuses based on asylum, are they allowed to vote? You know what I mean? Or is it only citizens or is it residents? That's a very good question. Now I'm gonna have to look in them. Thanks a lot, Velasquez. Now I'm gonna have to fucking rack my brain out on this one. Reagan's 8 most dangerous words in the English language. I'm from the government. I'm here to help. Yeah, let's go ask all the natives how that fucking turned out, right? Oh man. And then Cryptid said, the first sign of a dying republic is debt forgiveness. Just ask the Romans. I don't know much about the Roman Empire, except that it lasted 500 years.
I'll say this. At the height of the Roman Empire, 80% of their standard coin was silver. At the fall of it, 5% was silver.
Wow.
5% of the standard coin was silver.
I wonder if people know that, our money used to actually be worth something because it was made out of something. They had a gold standard behind it. It was backed by the amount of gold that you had within your country. But now that they got this GDP, hey, who's to say we can't just fluff up the numbers to make it seem like we have more than we actually do have? It trips me out, Campos, how people shit on Middle America, the flyover states as they call them.
Yeah,
when that is what keeps our country alive and afloat. That's where all your hardworking Americans are. That's where you have all your wheat, your corn, your potatoes, all your farmland is happening there. But they're the ones that get shit on by the elections, because if people just want to focus on what's going on coast to coast, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're focusing on them and not the people that are making America work.
And again, if we get rid of electoral college, that's exactly what will happen. People in the middle, people in the south, people in the north will have no say so in their government. It will all be people on the west coast and east coast.
Bullshit. They're taking the jobs that teens in this country used to do. The country was not built on maids and lawn care. Sorry, not sorry. Well, I'm not saying that it was just lawn care that they're doing. It's also jobs that and you're right, they are taking jobs that teens were doing, but the teens aren't doing them either. You know, well, at some point we do have to take accountability of our children that we're not setting them to work. Go ahead.
Well, let me say this, is that one of the problems is if we look at the economics of 30, 40 years ago, we had a lot more locally owned businesses. We had a lot more locally owned farms. So what that means is when you talk about teens, you're talking about the sons and daughters of people who own the actual farm, who's picking the corn, picking the cotton, all that stuff. Because eventually, even though they're doing the hard work, eventually they're gonna the next generation, they're gonna own that farm, they're gonna own that business. We don't have that anymore because the corporations are now buying everything up. So we have moved from a mom and pop society to a more now corporate society. You look at back then, I mean, you look at how old we are, and if there's anybody listening who's older than us, think back to when you were a kid. You didn't see a Walmart, you didn't see a McDonald's, you didn't see a Burger King in every city and every town in the country. Just like Target, Lowe's, Home Depot, you didn't see that. You had small locally owned businesses all over. Yeah, and everything was owned locally, and it was and the money circulated within the community, within the society. And so that's what I would wish we'd go back to, because at the end of the day, that's what an actual free economy is.
And encrypted to this country was not built on maids and lawn care services. The people that are coming over here are not just talking about this country being built. They're not just coming here. Hold on. They're not just coming here.
The maids, the janitors, and the people who clean the toilets were the people who actually own the business.
So no, but what I was going to say is that it's not just they're not just coming here to do those jobs. You also got a lot of these folks coming out here, and they're doing a lot of the construction jobs. They're doing a lot of the fucking roofing jobs. They're doing a lot more than just, maids and lawn care. I get what you're saying, but at the same time, these teenagers are not out there working. I trip out when I do see a lot of teenagers out there working, and I give them props. Like, hey, I'm like, man, aren't you kind of young? They're like, yeah, I'm still in high school. I'm like, oh, okay. Hey, right on, man. I give them a shout out because I know how difficult it is to study and maintain a job. You know what I'm saying? Granted, I never made it past the 10th fucking grade. But Doc K, she says, I'm moving from a populated area in the West Coast to the Midwest. We are overpopulated and crime is out of control where we are currently. Doc K, as somebody who is originally from Los Angeles, California, the last time I was there was in 2015. And that place to me has always been overcrowded. But when I went there in 2015, the last time, it was super duper overcrowded. I can only imagine what it's like now. I will always love my city. I will always love my state. But I look forward to the day that I can move somewhere to like South Dakota or Wyoming and just have a couple of acres and a fucking what's that shit called? Like those prefab homes, those what are they called? Like they're prefabricated homes. You know what I mean? They're like this big ass trailer, like a double wide, and just slapped in the middle of the fucking acreage. I do not need a fucking castle. I just need 4 walls and a roof over my head. I got nobody to impress. Just give me a fucking water source that comes through my property and leave me alone. You know what I mean? Close to a city where I can go if I want to go see city things and do city things. But for the most part, just be out in the middle of nowhere. No crime. The biggest crime will be cow tipping, if that's even real.
Well, tell Doc K she can move to the Big O or CB where I'm at. It's not that bad here. We're right in the middle.
I don't know. I'll tell you this. I've driven through Nebraska, and I've driven through what's that other state next to it? What's next to
Which one?
Iowa. I haven't gone through Iowa, but I've been through Nebraska, and oh my god, dude, I would never, ever live in Nebraska ever.
Well, I live on the I live on the super. Well, I live in Iowa, but I live where I work at. It's the super east side. So,
gotcha. All right, so Black and Teal says, "Bro, my son can't even wash my car. I had to fire him." You know what's funny? Back in the day, I used to actually wash my brother's car for $10, and I talk about I did a hell of a fucking job. $10 was $10, man. I needed that motherfucking money because a 40-ounce cost $2.50, and then a pack of cigarettes cost, I think, $1.75, and that still left me with money for later on.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I go back to that balance. I mean, like, you know, back then, you know, you would do something like that for $10. I mean, at the same time, as much as, you know, some of these young kids, you give them $10. I can't blame them for saying, I don't want to do that for $10. I mean, there's a balance.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, it goes up to with this whole minimum wage bullshit that people want to make $20 fucking an hour, but they can't get my motherfucking order right at McDonald's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And how do you want to get paid all this amount of money? But now people wanted all that fucking that minimum wage going up, right? Go buy yourself a fucking Big Mac combo. See how much it's gonna run you. It used to be $3.50, maybe $4. Now you're paying at least $8 a meal. At least. If I'm gonna pay that much for a fucking meal, I'm going to fucking Applebee's. I'm going to Chili's. I'm going to fucking Texas Roadhouse, because at least I'm going to be getting somewhat real food versus fucking you know, nasty ass garbage fucking McDonald's, man. I just need a shower and a toilet. I feel you on that, Black and Teal. Shit, I don't even need a toilet, dog. If one thing I learned in the Army was how to use a shovel and take the shit in the field.
Baby wipes.
And if for a shower, I can just use baby wipes, baby. Owning actual land for my boy to run and play on. Yes. And that's the key right there, Doc K. I think a lot of people have forgotten that in order for us to have generational wealth to pass on down, we need to look not at what's going to make us feel good by having a property or having this beautiful house, but what's going to be an investment that my children's children can also enjoy. And if you have land, that's something that your kids, your grandkids, and your great grandkids will be able to go ahead and make memories on for the rest of their fucking lives, man. Let's see. It's a sea of townhomes with no green area here. That reminds me of that fucking song. You know, it reminds me of that song that, you know, you tear down paradise and put up a parking lot. You know, it's sad. Here in San Antonio, it's still growing, it's still expanding, right?
Yeah.
And it trips me out that, like, when I first moved here back in 2015, there were still areas that were like, you know, just green, like forest looking, out in the outskirts in the northeast side. Yeah. They've torn a lot of that shit down and just started putting up townhomes and apartment complexes and townhomes and apartment, because everybody's moving out this way, right? And I get it, because everybody's moving here because the cost of living is a lot cheaper in Texas. You don't got a state tax, you know, and it's just the cost of living is cheaper relative to California, for example.
And Austin.
Oh God, fuck Austin. Y'all keep Austin.
That's where I used to live, man. I used to live there.
But here's the thing, like, you know, Austin itself has become a mini LA. It's impossible to live out there. And then the cost of living here in San Antonio is fucking redunculous as well. It's skyrocketing, and it's honestly fucking up the reason that people will come and live here, because now it's turning into another California, because people are leaving California, but they're bringing their bullshit politics from over there.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna leave California, if you're gonna leave a place where you're at, remember why you're leaving.
Yeah.
You're leaving it because you're paying too much to live there. And now you're gonna bring that shit over here, and you're gonna turn don't California my Texas, goddammit. Go ahead.
A month and a half before I moved to Austin is when they passed the ordinance where homeless people could live all over the city. Right, a month and a half before I moved there.
Bro, the homelessness is out of control. When I had first moved here again to San Antonio, you didn't see panhandlers here in the neighborhood where I live at. You didn't see them. They would all be south of the 410. Like the downtown area, in the west side. That's where you would see the panhandlers or the bums.
Yeah.
Now they're all the way up here in the far north side. Where it was what you would call kind of like the suburbs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're up here. Some of these guys, they don't even hold signs. They just stand there, with a fucking sad face, like, help me. And it's like, dude, I mean, fuck, and it pisses me off, because if it's one thing that our people did have was pride, and they weren't coming here to beg. Our people, when I say our people, I mean, raza, Latinos. When they would come over here, they would hustle their ass off. They would go stand in front of a fucking Home Depot and wait to get picked up. You know what I mean? They weren't coming here to be fucking bums and try to get pity from others. But now these guys are standing out here and just looking fucking pitiful. And it's like, God damn, dude. And I hate to be that guy, because I tend to be the type of person that I like to give, bro. If I have, I like to give, because that's just how I am.
Yeah.
But and like Black says right here, he said the fake ones, that's the ones that get me. I got fucking fooled. I got fooled by these assholes. But here's the thing, Campos. It pissed me off because these guys were out there with a fucking sign like saying, "No, my daughter has cancer. Please help us with money."
I'll give you better. When I was in Austin, and it was like a Friday night, I went down to 6th Street, okay, and some homeless dude was on 6th Street, and he comes up and asks me for money. Talks to me face to face. I'm like, no, man, I'm not. I'm good, man. I've been in the clubs already, had a few drinks, whatever. We're talking 2.5, 3 hours later. He must have forgot. He must have forgot that he talked to me, because he's talking to so many people. And then I see the same dude with a paper plate, and he's going up to people, and so, like 2 or 3 people give him money. Some people don't. Then he comes up to me. He must have forgotten who I was. And he comes up to me and he shows me the paper plate. I look at the paper plate and it says, "I'm deaf. I can't talk. I can't hear. I can't see, or not see. I can't talk and I can't hear. And any amount of money will help."
Wow.
And I was like, "Come on, man. Come on, dude."
What happened to at least having a hustle? Sell goddamn flowers, sell oranges, sell tamales, but don't be a fucking bum. And they're giving our people a bad name. Sometimes you wonder about this fires in California. Bro, those fires in California have been happening forever and a day. But I will say this. I don't feel bad when motherfuckers who live on the cliff sides and their houses fucking fall into the ocean. I don't feel bad. I don't, because honestly, who told you to buy that fucking house knowing damn well California is known, especially off of PCH, that your shit is going to go down? But no, you want to still fucking have that bougie ass house on the cliffside. Well, there you go. That's what you pay insurance for, right?
Yeah, there you go.
As far as the wildfires go, that shit's crazy, man. I mean, it's saddening, but again, it happens usually in the bougie ass areas, and they have a lot of fucking money to go ahead and rebuild. So go ahead and handle that business, dog. You could afford that insurance, go for it. Me personally, I will go live in the middle of fucking nowhere rather than live. I love California. California is my home. Will always be my home. But the policies and politics that are there.
Oh yeah, I know, man. I've seen some beautiful places in California. I've seen the vineyards, the woodlands and all that stuff. I've seen that, but man, what's going on in San Francisco and Los Angeles and San Diego? Oh my goodness.
Well, let me tell you, dude. One thing I loved about LA was that I was an hour away from anything. If I wanted to go to the desert, bam, I could just go straight towards Vegas and, take the 15 and you'll be out there in the high desert. You want to go to the mountains, you go to San Bernardino, you go to San Gabriel. You want to go to the beach, you go to Santa Monica, you go to fucking Huntington Beach. And here's the thing, bro. You could do all that on the same fucking day.
Yeah.
Literally the same fucking day. You can go hike up and go snowboarding in Big Bear, and then come on down and go swim in the fucking Pacific later on that evening if you wanted to. I loved it. But again, it's gone to so much shit, man. Like Venice Beach, it's horrible. All the vagrancy, the homelessness, but yet we're gonna go ahead and support people that are coming here, on false pretenses, or they're coming here illegally, and we're gonna give them those resources that we could be using on our own. That irks the shit out of me, bro. It irks the shit out of me. God damn, we've been on here for almost fucking 2 hours, man. I appreciate y'all being here with us. We'll give it a few more minutes and we'll call it a night because it's already going to be 10 p.m. Dude, is it going to shock you if no matter which way the voting goes or whoever wins, would it shock you? Like if Trump lost, would that be a shocker to you?
A little bit. A little bit with everything that the Democrats have done the last 6 years, with everything that Biden has done, and not only that, the fact that his vice president, who was in his administration, is the nominee. It will shock me a little bit. At the same time, it will shock me because the last election, it was the first time we had an election where it was during a pandemic where a lot of people were mailing in ballots.
Mm-hmm.
This time is different. That's why I think that it's really going. I really think it's going to come down to the battleground states, and then here's what I think. I think it's going to become a landslide either way. If Trump wins, it's going to be a landslide. If Harris wins, I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a majority, but I don't think it's going to be a bigger landslide. But I think if Trump wins, it's going to be a landslide. And so if he loses, I think it's going. I'll be surprised.
So, it's almost like it sounds like you're saying how everybody expected that red wave back in 2022. Everybody's expecting a blue wave right now, and it's going to be the opposite, that Trump may end up pulling this one. I think you're right as far as like, I'm hoping that you're right because honestly, people who
battleground states.
Well, again, but see, it all boils down to these battleground states. Which liar are they going to believe the most?
The biggest one out of the battleground states, the biggest one is Pennsylvania.
Well, let me ask you: do you think this policy that he just came up with about not taxing overtime? Do you think that's going to make any kind of impact on people's decision to vote?
I think it will help a little bit, but in regards of Pennsylvania, which is I think the biggest state, which is I'm not saying it's the factor. I'm not saying it's the number one factor. But Pennsylvania is the biggest state when it comes to swaying one of them to the left or the right to win to the win. It's going to depend on how many people understand how the importance and the amount of money that the middle class makes with fracking, and if they understand that Kamala Harris flat out said that she wants to ban it, and now she's changed her mind because fracking. I fracked when in Texas after I got out. Active duty, and I went back there and did it in 2017, and so that was in Texas. And I remember when being down there, it was Texas, South Dakota, and Pennsylvania and Louisiana were the four biggest states when it comes to fracking.
Oh wow!
And Pennsylvania was pretty big, but it's northeast, so it's going to come down to people being educated, understanding, and knowing. Listen. If I want my household to keep living the middle class life and making money and working hard, then we're going to vote Trump.
So let me ask you. Hold on, give me a second. What's up?
Go ahead.
What? Where whose are? The scissors? Yes. I don't know. What do you need scissors for? Give me that shit. Hold on, y'all. My daughter needs help over here. Say hello, Sophia. Oh, you're not even in the video. Never mind.
I don't want to be in frame.
All right, here you go. All right, bye. Oh, give me that one. 5-second rule. Where is it? No, you'll be all right. All right. So, anywho, check this out, man. I had to do a little bit of studying on what fracking really is because I had absolutely no idea what fracking was. I heard of it. I know it had to do with something about digging into the goddamn ground. But after I read up on it, I understand what it is. Where inside of these shales, these rocks is gas that needs to be cracked in order for the gas to be let out, or the oil. So with that said, energy independence. Do you think that we'll ever have energy independence here in the U.S.?
I mean, that
Because
all
there's a
depends on
lot of talk about it.
that all depends on the administration. Democrats get involved with them and all their green initiatives and all the stuff they want. They're not going to allow that, and at the end of the day, they will say that they're all about green energy, but then we're buying oil and we're buying gas from Saudi Arabia, and so
Do you
at
know
the
why
end
we're
of the day,
buying gas from Saudi Arabia, by the way? Why are we getting our oil from them?
I mean they're the cheap. I mean they're the cheapest. At the end of the day, I mean,
but do you know why it is that we don't use our own oil that we have in the US? I just found this out, bro. Again,
go ahead.
Okay, so for those that ain't tracking, okay, we do have oil here in the US. All right, we're sitting on a fuck ton of oil.
Yep.
A fuck ton. The unfortunate part is that the oil that we have here is not able to be refined with the technology that we have, because the last refinery that we had built was in 77. So the oil that we're pulling out of here cannot be refined with the refineries we have here. So what we do is we export our oil that we have here to other fucking countries so they can go and refine it. And then we get their oil over here because we can refine that oil. How stupid is that? How counterproductive is that? And a lot of people are asking, why is it that we can't get energy independent? Because, like you just mentioned, these Green New Deals, these initiatives to go completely green, nobody wants to invest into updating or changing these refineries to be able to process and refine the oil that we have here. So basically what it is, it was fucking, I'm talking about simplified to the dummiest of dumbs. Think about one type of oil being chocolate, the other type of oil being strawberry.
Yep.
We grow strawberry, they have chocolate. Because we have the strawberry kind, we can't refine it. Trust me, it's fucking retarded. But if we were able to go ahead and update and upgrade our refineries, we'd be able to go energy independent and not have to deal with anybody else's bullshit. Go ahead, pimp.
I mean, I agree. Not only will it provide jobs here, it'll provide jobs, it'll create jobs here. It'll allow us to be independent. We don't have to, rely on Saudi Arabia. The problem is that, there's a lot of these treaties, there's a lot of these oil deals. Republican side, you have people like the Bushes and stuff who have, treaties where they're making money with some of the big, like in Halliburton, these deals with it. So that's the problem on the Republican side. The Democrat side, it's the green initiatives and the Green New Deal, where they want to prevent that. They will always say we want clean energy, we want solar, we want all this other stuff, but then they'll prevent us from doing it, but then they'll increase the production and us buying from Saudi Arabia. So it's a sham. It's a big sham. So unfortunately, a lot of people don't know that.
It's all about the money at the end of the day,
Yeah.
And all these OPEC deals, and how is it that we went ahead and allowed the Nord Stream pipeline to continue out there, and Russia's still making money. No matter what sanctions we put on them, they're fucking making money. They're the ones that are providing the oil to fucking Europe, dude.
Yep.
How stupid is it? All right, so the homie said, but after the fires, they're building homes. Dude, I mean, we could go into the conspiracy theories on that shit. Look what happened out there in Maui. That whole area that got, what is it, in Lahaina, that the whole area burnt down, and all of a sudden it was being bought up by all these billionaires. Not only that, I don't know if anybody has heard about all this land that's being bought. I don't know if it was by Bezos or Elon Musk. I can't remember which one it is, but they're buying land within the US, like at high areas and high points. So give me 1 second. All right, sorry about that. Y'all had to discuss things with my daughter. What do you think about what happened out there in Maui? Do you have any conspiracy theories on that, or do you believe it was just a wildfire?
I mean, I don't know too much about it, so I mean, I can't say too much about it. But I mean, hearing certain things about it, like Oprah and The Rock having homes out there, why don't they spend it? My question is, Oprah having all the billions of dollars that she has, why don't you spend your own money to help those people out over there? But that's all I know about it.
It makes too much sense. In the Gulf of Mexico, do we have a lot of oil? Do you know if we have oil out there?
I mean, I know there's offshore. I mean, I've seen when I was working fracking. I know there's a lot of offshore rigs. So yeah, absolutely, definitely, there's a lot of that out there.
So with the fracking out in Pennsylvania, I didn't even know Pennsylvania was into fracking or had those shales there. How much of the economy comes from fracking in Pennsylvania?
I mean, I'll say this: when you go out to, if you want to know oil field USA is what I like to call it, go to Odessa, Texas.
Oh yeah,
Odessa, Odessa / Midland, and most of what's going on out there is fracking. And so, first there's drilling. Once you drill, then you put an oil oil well. Then after you put the oil well, then you frack. Then with fracking, basically what fracking is, to make it simplistic, you shoot sand underground into the ground. Then it solid. Then it goes down there. It gets solid. Then you put a big long tube of metal with holes in it, and in that tube there's explosives in that tube. Then you put that damn tube way down there, and then you just fucking blow it up. And then when all those holes on that tube, all the explosives comes out, it fractures the ground under there with all that sand, and it fractures it, and then it causes all that sand, all that gas to come up into all these reservoirs, and that's what they use. That's basically what they use for oil and gas.
So, and just before we go, for all the people out there, again, I'm sure everybody's already made their mind up on who they're voting for. The last thing I will say is this: if you're on the fence for some reason as who to vote for, just ask yourself, who would you rather be in the Oval Office when we start getting threats from North Korea, from Iran, from China, and who's my other part of that axis in Russia? Because to me, that's the new axis of evil right there, and it's just, I'm not really ready for Kamala to be in that position, because rather than her listening to reason, I think that she would act on emotion, and I believe that she would be, oh, you guys want to test me? Well, you think because I'm a woman I'm weak? Well, let me show you something. And I think that she would get us into another engagement that we don't need to be
in. Hillary's a good example of that. Hillary, as Secretary of State, was a prime example of that.
100%. Let's see. Black and Teal says, hearing all this, it's shaking my head. Trump all the way. Hey, right on, baby. Fight, 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 and then Monaco laughing, Kamala or Trump, not a hard choice. Hey, you know what? I'll say this, neither of them are perfect by any sort of way. We definitely need some new blood there. Tulsi Gabbard will always be my candidate. Hopefully in 2028 she'll run. Sorry, JD Vance, I just don't see you.
Possibly RFK too.
RFK is definitely another one. Look, anybody that is leaving the Democrat Party, ask yourself why.
Yep.
Because they call themselves the Democrat Party, but they have their candidate up there who was just placed there without any kind of democracy. There was no votes. She dropped out of the Iowa or she dropped out before the Iowa even started back in 2020.
Yep, I remember that.
So, I mean, the only reason she got hired was because, well, Tulsi was going against the grain. And I still will have love for Tulsi. Anyways, with that being said, hey, I appreciate you being here with me as always, Campos. Thank you for jumping on here. Black and Teal, Doc K.
And just want to say I'd love to have a discussion with Sergeant Hunt.
Oh, yeah. Whenever Hunt, jump on here, Hunt. I mean, hopefully he'll get on here, but I know he's watching the football games. So with that said, everybody who was here, Nick, Cryptid, everybody who was on here, thank y'all for being on here. Do me just one solid on your way out. If you just tap that like button, I would really appreciate it. That's all I really ask for. A subscribe would be great, but a like would be awesome. And let people know about this channel, man. It's called On the Gun Line. It's not military centric anymore. It's more of on the gun line conversations that we would have, which is uncensored, unfiltered, unedited, with no judgment. You know, come and speak what you say and have thick skin. That's all I got to say. You know what I'm saying? With that, I'll catch y'all later. Salute. I got the Dolphins. Boo. Boo. SJ. So you're from San Jose. That's the Shark. Dude, you're from San Jose. I see now. Okay. You know what? Go Kings, go. Oh, shit. It looks like the homie disconnected. Campos, thanks for being here, brother. Have yourself a good one. Salute .K. Salute Black and Teal. Salute everybody who's been on here, man. Thank y'all for making this an interesting conversation for me. I wasn't even going to be on here for but 10 minutes, and it ended up being 2 hours and 6. I'll catch y'all tomorrow, next time on the Gun Line. Pat Tillman, hometown. Orale, right on. Pat Tillman. Unfortunate incident that happened with him. Fratricide. That's another topic for another day, y'all. Thank you once again. It is 10 o'clock here in San Antonio, Texas. And with that one, I'll catch you tomorrow only on the Gun Line. Deuces, y'all.